Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Welcome to this International Clinical Fellowship Program webinar hosted by the Global Training and Partnership Department team of the Royal College of Physicians in Ireland. We are delighted to have you all here in this afternoon or maybe in this evening join this session today. RCPI has been a very strong in developing in conjunction with overseas partners since 2017 the opportunity to complete a fellowship training in Ireland in 39 specialties. In our session today, we are glad to have a team of experts, clinicians, and staff for several areas in medicine that work hard with a very great passion to make this program happen to all of you audience hearing us today. They will share information about the programs and their experience about living and training in Ireland. My name is Diana Santos. I am Executive Business Development in the Global Training Partnership Department, and I am honored to present to you the panelists joining our webinar today. So some of them that I'm sharing with you, the name is now Dr. Declan Cody. He is the clinical lead for the ICFP, which is the International Clinical Fellowship Program in Pediatric Endocrinology. Also join us, we have Dr. Juan Trujillo. He is the clinical lead for pediatric allergy and pulmonology, which is a new specialty that we're going to offer this year. And Dr. Juan is going to give us the pleasure to explain a little bit more about this specialty. We have also Dr. Aisha Almusa. She is dermatology fellow graduate. She just finished her fellowship program with us in 2023, last year, and she's from Bahrain. Also, we have a number of staff and also collaborators here. So with us today, Mrs. Hannah Flynn. She is the head of postgraduate services at Castel Education. Mrs. Ashley Nolan. She's the head of English in Castel Education as well. And we have also other RCPI teams like me, Mrs. Clina March, she's the Global Training and Partnership Manager, and also Dave Finnerty, she is the team lead for international training programs at RCPI. So thank you all the panelists that for taking time to join us in this afternoon. We share the great news about this program that it was just open for an application last week. So this session will be recorded. So it's very important that if you think that you're going to miss any of information, don't be afraid. So the recording is going to be available for you by the next week. So also we invite you to participate of the webinar with the sharing your questions and you're curious on the Q&A questions. We will try our best to respond all the questions during the webinar, but considering the number of people that we have today, we are very happy for that. Probably we won't be possible to reply all of the questions, but we're going to share our emails today with you so you can keep in contact with us, and we will be more than happy to guide you through the process and through everything that you need about our programs, okay? So, but what is RCPI International Clinical Fellowship is about, okay? So let's now hand over to Klina. She is our manager. So she's gonna she's gonna explain to you a little bit about the program and excite you about the things that you have prepared for you. Thank you, Klina.
Thank you, Diana, and thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. So, as Diana said, my name is Clina Martin, and I'm the Global Training and Partnerships Manager. So, there's a big team in RCPI that are all here to help you. So, myself and the team, Diana and Anton, we're really here for the first stage. So, we're here to answer any questions you may have or help you with your application. Hopefully, we might meet some of you in your home country at some stage during the year as well. So, first of all, some of you may never have been to Ireland, poor you, but I want to give you a little flavour of what Ireland is like. So here's just a little short video which gives you a taste of Ireland, and hopefully the sound will work for us. So that gives you a little visual taste of Ireland. But some other points about Ireland. It's a small country. It's home to about 5 million people. It's an EU member state. It's a very mild climate. Our average temperature is about 10 degrees. You probably know we get quite a bit of rain, which is good. It means we have lovely green scenery. We're very well connected by air to the UK, Europe, North America, and the Middle East. So, this is something to consider when you are going to study or, train abroad. How easy is it to get home? It's a 7.5-hour flight from Dublin to Dubai. That's doable. You can make a few trips home a year with that kind of distance. English is a spoken language here. And also, Ireland is a very friendly and safe place to live. Ireland was voted number 3 for one of the safest countries in the world, and that's in the Global Peace Index. And also you'll find Irish people are very warm. They're very friendly. They want to chat to you. It's a nice welcoming atmosphere. And most importantly for all of you, Ireland is internationally recognised for excellence in postgraduate medical training. So a little bit about the Royal College of Physicians Ireland, or as we always say, RCPI. Well, our mission really is a globally connected community of doctors learning together to improve people's health. And it is really a community, because if you come and train here, when you go back to your home country, that's not the end of it. You're part of the RCPI family. You will stay connected with your peers and the clinical leads that helped you along your way, and you will continue those connections throughout your career, and they are really important. A little bit about the history. I think it's always nice to know the history of somewhere that you're going to train. So, RCPI was founded in 1654 by Dr. John Stern, and it really, since its start, its real aim has been to improve medical education and patient care, and that's still at the heart of RCPI today. And another really interesting thing is that RCPI was the first medical licensing body in Britain and Ireland to allow females to take their medical exams. So the first female doctor in Britain and Ireland was Eliza Walker Dunbar, who passed the RCPI exam in 1877, becoming the first female doctor, which is really wonderful to be part of that history. Now, obviously today we're talking about postgraduate medical training, but as I said before, once you graduate, that's not the end of it. RCPI are there for you throughout your career. There's specialist exams, professional competence schemes, continuing professional development, and this can span, from a weekend or a longer course, clinical leadership programs, QI and assurance programs, research, policy and advocacy. So really, they're there with you throughout your career. A little bit, I won't go through all this. This is just RCPI in a snapshot, some facts and figures, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about some of these points throughout the presentation. So our faculties and institutes, so there's 6 faculties and institutes in RCPI. There's the Institute of Medicine, the Faculty of Paediatrics, the Institute of Obstetricians and Gynaecologists, the Faculty of Pathology, the Faculty of Public Health Medicine, and finally the Faculty of Occupational Medicine. And within those 6 faculties and institutes, there are a wide array of different programs you can train in. So a little bit about the national and international programs. So I'll just touch on, we have the residency program, and that is for doctors who've finished their internship. So the national trainees do basic specialist training, and the international trainees do what's called the residency training program. Different names, but the exact same curriculum. Now, for fellowship, which is what all of you today are interested in, there is the higher specialist training for the national trainees, and then the clinical fellowship program, which is 2 to 3 years. They are slightly different because the national program can be between 4 to 6 years, while the clinical fellowship program for international fellowship candidates is 2 to 3. So there is a slight difference in that. So here we have a list of all the training programs available. And you can see, and we can send this out to you as well, and it's available online. You can see some new programs that we have highlighted there as well. And also the Faculty of Occupational Health. So if anyone joining us today is interested in occupational medicine, there has been a bit of a barrier to this with people wanting to do occupational medicine, both nationally and internationally, because one of the requirements is the LFOM exam, which can be quite difficult to pass. So this year we will be introducing a pathway program, which will allow trainees to start an online program in their home country, then come to Ireland and do a clerkship and also study a combination, and which will prepare you for your LFOM exam. And once you pass the LFOM exam, you can begin the fellowship in occupational medicine. So it's a nice pathway. It also gives people, if you haven't had the opportunity to get a lot of experience in occupational health, this is a great chance to do that and get more familiar with it and get more skills ready to take on the fellowship. So the clinical fellowship programs in RCPI, now these are all fully accredited with your sponsorship bodies. And I think it's very important to note that these are hands-on clinical training programs. It is not an observership. It's hands-on, it's clinically based, it's on the wards. Most of them are 2 to 3 years in duration, and on completion, you will have certificates that are recognized in your home country. And it really is that step to excel your career when you return home with one of these certificates. There are 4 core areas. So it's all clinical hospital-based training, procedural and practical skills combination. And it's a core academic program. So you will have your curriculum, which you must follow, and that will be designed, before you start the program. It'll be designed with your sponsorship body and your clinical lead, and obviously yourself, what you want to get out of the program. And at the end of each year, you'll have an evaluation, see how you are going on that, how you are tracking against the curriculum that you helped design for yourself. So you can see a little map of Ireland here now. For those of you that aren't aware, Ireland is quite a small country. So you can drive from Dublin to Cork or Dublin to Galway in about 2.5 hours. So that gives you an indication of the size. So the main hospitals that you can train in as part of the programme are in Dublin, Cork, Limerick and Galway. All really fun, bustling, dynamic cities. And then also, all of them have the best of both worlds. Great cities, but you don't have to travel too far to be in, that beautiful Irish countryside. I think something else that a lot of our trainees who've graduated or currently on the programme really love is that they can walk to work. I know sometimes in a lot of your countries it's too hot to do that, and fortunately or unfortunately we don't have that problem in Ireland. So it's very normal to walk to work and kind of enjoy the fresh air and the weather as well. So my colleagues Aisling and Hannah will talk a little bit more about the supporting our trainees, but I just wanted to touch on it. So for those of you that might not have the English language requirements now at the time of applying, that's absolutely okay. We offer English language tutoring to help you get to the required grade. We also offer relocation support. Moving country by yourself is difficult. Some of you may be moving with children or a partner. You do need support in that, and we're there to offer that to you. There's a dedicated program coordinator and program management team, and they are there for you throughout your time in RCPI. Whatever problem, albeit little or large, they're there to help you. There's also a dedicated program director for each specialty and an overall director. Again, there to support you, make sure that you are having a good experience and an experience that you feel is going to accelerate your career. And we also offer health and well-being should anybody need any support in that. Now, applications are open at the moment and they close on the 30th of June. We plan to have the interviews between September and November, and interviews will be held in Dubai and some interviews will be held in Oman as well. Offers, we try to be really as fair as possible. After the interview, we try to get the offer out to you within a few days. So it's quite a fast turnaround. We don't want you wondering and waiting. And then start in your post on the 7th of July in 2025. Okay, and what I do want to let you all know, any questions you have, if you start the application process and you're not sure about something or you want something clarified, that's what we're here for. Never think twice about emailing us or picking up the phone and calling us. We are here to help you with this. So any questions or any support you need with the application process, please do get in touch. And if you want to start right now, you can scan the QR code there. And just to let you know as well that, as I said, the applications will close on the 30th of June. You have a lot of time, but again, the application, it does take time. You have to put a little bit of time and effort into it as well. So what's required to do your application? So you must have completed a primary degree, a medical degree through English, and completed your internship, and also a residency, a 4 to 5 year residency program, and your associated board exam, and also have the appropriate level of clinical experience. And that can depend on what program you are applying for. Also, it's quite interesting, I think this is the second year we're doing this now, is we ask you to upload a video on YouTube, and don't worry, we talk you through how to make it private, so nobody else will be able to see your video on YouTube, only us. And it's just a chance for us to almost meet you before the interview stage. So you just introduce yourself, talk about your career to date and your motivations for applying to the program. You shouldn't be nervous about this. It just needs to be 3 minutes. And just imagine you're talking to a friend. You're having a cup of coffee and you're telling your friend these things. It's very comfortable, very casual, and be very relaxed doing it. And then the things that you need before you start your training in July: you must have passed your English language, and that's an IELTS of 7 or the OET of an average of grade B. And you must also have your sponsorship from your sponsorship body, with whom RCPI have a memorandum of understanding with. Now, there's some things that you do not need to have at the time of application, and you do not need to have them at the time of interview, but they are nice to have if possible. So if you do have your full English language requirement before the interview, fantastic. And also, if you have the MRCPI in your chosen specialty, again, that is really looked on favourably as well. So as I said, you do need to put time into the application. So these are little checklists for you. So a CV and outline, an online application form is well structured. So really take your time on your CV, get somebody else to check it for you. And again, spend your time doing the online application. Don't rush. You have until the 30th of June. You've loads of time. Spend the time on doing it well. Make sure that all the supporting documents have been attached. Make sure you've demonstrated interest in your chosen specialty. So, explain to us. You want to tell the leading clinician why they should choose you, what your interest is in this, why you will be brilliant on this program. Tell us about your experience in the chosen specialty as well. And also, if you've experience in research or audit or quality improvement, make sure include this as well. Don't leave anything out. Put it all in there. If you're second guessing, should I include this? Include it. It's better to include it than not. And then if you have the MRCPI or equivalent, make sure you include that also. It's great today. You get to speak to and ask questions to RCPI staff and the clinicians. But I know sometimes you might want to speak to somebody that's on the program. We've one doctor currently that's on the program joining us today. But if you want to speak to other doctors currently with us in RCPI, you can scan the QR code there. You can also find a link on the website, and you can ask them any questions that you may want to, that perhaps you don't want to ask us. And that's it from me. Thank you very much, Gurv Mahagat and Sukran, and I will pass you over now to Aisling.
Hello, everybody. I'll just take one moment to share my slides. So we have two representatives here today from Castel Education, and you can see our names and emails down the bottom of the screen there if you did need to ask us any questions. So I'm working with the English Language Department on tuition, preparing doctors for OET or IELTS exams. Most doctors have a wonderful level of English already, but specific exams require specific techniques. And that's what my department works on. And Hannah works on paperwork, accommodation, getting you through all the steps of the process from after you finish your English language certification to landing on Irish soil and moving into your house and starting your first day of work. So these are the 4 points that we'll be covering today. I'm going to talk you through the first 2. So what the English language requirements are and what tuition what is involved in tuition. And Hannah will talk you through the journey after that. So the Medical Council and the Health Service Executive will accept 2 types of exam, the IELTS, the academic version of the IELTS, that's important, or the OET, the Occupational English Test. So with the IELTS, you need to have an overall score of 7 with no skill less than 6.5. And with OET, you need a B in each skill. Now, we can support you to do either exam, depending on your preference. However, we do notice a trend lately where medical professionals tend to achieve the desired grades in OET more quickly and more easily than in IELTS. And that's simply because the OET examines real life skills, communicative skills that you are using already in your jobs, whereas the IELTS is just a general exam. Some people still want to do the IELTS because they've done it recently for other reasons and they're very familiar with it, and our tutors are experts in both types of exam. So the types of exams that can be accepted have to be taken in centre. So it doesn't matter if it's paper-based or computer-based, that's your own preference and it's what's available in your region, but it must be done in the centre because there is an online version of both tests that can be taken at home. It's proctored, supervised, but that's not currently accepted in Ireland. The speaking exam does sometimes take place online, remotely, where you're sitting at home while you've done the other 3 parts of the exam in the centre. That's okay, because the thinking is that nobody can really cheat on that. Not yet, anyway. We'll see with AI and avatars if that changes, but at the moment it would be very difficult. So don't worry if you're offered that, it will be accepted, but just check with your tutor first as well. Then the things that are not accepted are fully online, where you've done all parts of the exam at home, and the 1 skill resit. That's a very, very, very common question. Many people do the exam once and they get the required grade in 3 sections of the exam, not the 4th section, and they would like to resit only that 1 skill. Now, that is accepted in some places, but it's not currently accepted in Ireland by the Medical Council or the Health Service Executive. So these are the scores you're aiming for. You can see just an example there of a typical IELTS score. So you might have scored 6.5 in 2 sections and 7 in 2 sections. That would give you an overall of 7. If you scored 6.5 in 3, it wouldn't give you the 7 overall. So you need to get 6.5 in 2 sections, any 2, and 7 in the others. And as we stated before, for OET, be in all parts. So this is a very brief table showing the equivalence between the IELTS exam and the OET exam in terms of grading. But what's interesting about this slide is if you look at the phrases, the language that's used to describe each competency level, you can see that in OET it's very much about communication, can communicate effectively. So this is why we do find that many medical professionals find it easier to reach the required grade in OET, because you are all used to communicating every day with patients and colleagues. So the Occupational English Test exists for many different professions. You'll obviously be doing the medicine exam. And what happens is it's actually exactly the same exam for listening and for reading for all the professions. So whether you're a radiographer, physiotherapist, or a dentist, you'll be doing the same listening and reading exam. Then the speaking and the writing are profession specific. So the speaking is 2 role plays where you're a doctor and you have a patient. And the writing, you're usually writing to another medical professional to refer a patient. So real life situations. Because the listening and reading are cross-profession, you might just need to review your vocabulary a little bit for the other professions, but it's highly weighted towards medicine, to be honest. So this is the typical English language journey of a trainee. So hopefully this will be you in the future. You are referred from RCPI to Castel unless you come with your English language requirement already met. But if not, don't worry, we're going to help you. You're introduced to us and we'll do a bit of information gathering. So we can advise you on whether you're more suited to OET or IELTS. You can tell us your time frame. You know, maybe you have other exams happening in April and you want to start tuition in May with a view to sitting the exam in June. We'll discuss all of that. You can tell us more or less your availability in terms of times of day, dates, etc. We will then assign you to a suitable tutor based on that information. And your tutor will schedule one-to-one classes with you. So these happen over Zoom, live one-to-one classes. They'll initially do some diagnostics with you just to find out what areas you need to practice most. And in addition to the live classes, you will also have a correction service. So you can send writing to your tutor and they will send you back feedback with tips on how to improve the next time you do a writing. You can do speaking practice, you'll do exam technique, whatever you need. It's very customized. That's the advantage of having a one-to-one class. We touch base with RCPI fortnightly, and we let them know how you're doing. And then when you're ready to sit an exam, we review the results. If you are successful first time, wonderful. We will refer you on to Hannah, my colleague, who's going to speak in a moment. If not, don't worry, you'll do more tuition and you'll eventually get the exam. Many professionals find that they need to do a couple of exams because sometimes until you do the real exam on the day in the exam center with the timing and everything like that, you don't really know what it's like, and you might find your timing is a little bit off. But you know, many people do get it first time as well. Everybody is slightly different. And as I said, most doctors come with a wonderful level of English. It's more about exam technique and just tweaking things a little bit to meet the exact requirements of that specific exam. So, as I said before, if a doctor has already achieved their English language certification, we will refer you directly to the head of postgraduate services. That's Hannah. Typically, now these are not set in stone, we're quite flexible, but typically, if a doctor is short in one skill, so maybe they've sat an exam and they're close, they will do more or less 6 weeks of tuition. If a doctor is short in 2 or more skills, or they've never sat an exam before of IELTS or OET, they usually need a little bit more. It might take about 8 weeks. Those are typical timeframes. Some people are faster, some people are slower. So once you have achieved your English language certification, I'll be passing you on to my colleague, Hannah. So she's going to come on now to speak to you about the next part of your journey with Castel.
That's great. Thank you so much, Aisling. Good afternoon, everyone. As Aisling said, I'm Hannah and I'm the head of postgraduate services here at Castel Education. So Castel Education are responsible for the non-academic matters relating to your programme. So once a trainee has met all the programme requirements, including their English, RCPI will refer you on to me here at Castel. So, and the first thing that I will do with you is just invite you to have a short video call with myself so I can introduce myself and go through all the ways that we will be supporting you throughout your programme. And I'm going to go through them quickly here. And So the first step that we support you with is your medical council application. And you can see here that it's broken into two parts, EPIC and the medical council application itself. So the time frame for that is approximately 4 to 6 weeks to submit your full application. And then once your application has been submitted, the time it takes for the medical council to assess it and process it is quite variable. But once you've received your letter of registration or your certificate of registration from the medical council, RCPI will then apply for your work permit, which is called your atypical working scheme letter of approval. And the time frame for that is around 2 weeks for it to be issued. And then once you get your work permit, we here at Castel will send you guidelines to help you apply for your visa. And that takes around maybe 4 weeks for your visa to be issued. Then as soon as you receive your visa, you can then book your tickets and make your plans to travel to Ireland. So as you can see, there's just a number of key steps that you'll be focusing on before you arrive in Ireland. And then each step is like a building block to the next one. And then once you arrive in Ireland, Castel will support you on an ongoing basis for the entire duration of your programme. So from helping you to get settled in Ireland, to assisting you should you rotate to different clinical sites for year 2 or 3, and then all the way up to the very end when you're departing, we just give you information and advice on leaving Ireland. Okay. So Aisling, I might just get you to move to the next slide. Thank you. So yeah, Aisling has gone through the online language tuition with you. So as I said, the first thing I will work with you on is the medical council registration. So we'll provide you with very detailed and easy to follow step-by-step guidelines for each stage of the process, including how to get your credentials verified via EPIC, getting your supporting documents notarized, how to send them to the medical council, completing your online medical council application form, getting your certificate of good standing and sending that to the medical council. We'll review your application and all your supporting documents with you so that everything is fully prepared before you submit to the medical council. Then, as I mentioned, once your work permit is issued, so we'll send you, again, very detailed and easy to follow step-by-step guidelines for how to apply for your visa. So these will include visa advice notes in English and Arabic. We'll review your online visa application with you. Before you submit, we'll give you templates for some of the supporting documents required. We can also give you advice on applying for a visa for your family members. So be it a spouse and children who are going to accompany you for the duration of the programme, or other family members who may wish to visit you from time to time. And then once you're here in Ireland, we'll guide you through the process of applying for your Irish residence permit or your IRP card, which essentially takes over from your visa and gives you the permission to remain in Ireland. And then should you need to travel to the UK or Europe, the US for conferences or courses as part of your programme, we can provide you with advice on applying for visas for these third countries as well. So moving on to your arrival. So once you send us your travel details, we'll arrange a driver to pick you up at the airport and transfer you to your temporary accommodation. You'll be provided with a personalised welcome pack upon arrival, and that will just contain lots of useful information in terms of their accommodation, utilities, mobile phone options, banking, applying for your IRP card, getting a PPS number, etc., as well as a checklist of the things you'll need to prioritise after your arrival. And during your transition, we'll provide you with an out-of-hours support service just in case anything urgent should arise. And we'll also arrange a welcome video call for you whenever suits you after your arrival, just to talk you through again what you should be prioritising during your initial weeks here in Ireland. So accommodation can be something that's very concerning for doctors or maybe a big worry. But again, while the rental market is quite challenging in Ireland at the moment, we here at Castel will support you every step of the way until you get settled in your accommodation. So we'll provide you with advice on temporary accommodation options, so hotels and short stay apartments for your initial weeks here in Ireland. We'll work with you to establish your accommodation preferences, and then based on your requirements, we can send you permanent accommodation options for your consideration. In the week leading up to your arrival, we'll arrange appointments for you to view properties that you're interested in. We'll liaise with the agents and landlords on your behalf, and we'll help you in submitting applications for properties that you'd like to rent. And then once you have found your property that you're interested in, We'll review your lease for you before you sign and then provide you with move-in advice and how to set up your utilities, etc. So I suppose securing the permanent accommodation, it's a process. It can take time. So again, just bear that in mind and just be patient. Moving on to, I suppose, doctors who have children or traveling with children who might need any schooling or childcare for them. We can support you in your search for a child school place or a place in a creche. When the hospital location is confirmed, we can establish your requirements and then we'll contact the childcare centres and schools to establish vacancies and forward on options to you for your consideration. And then when you're here in Ireland, we're happy to arrange appointments with you with any of the schools or creches. And again, just to be aware, I suppose, that childcare in particular is a very, very challenging. Again, in Ireland, there's an extreme shortage, a huge demand. So again, get some patience and maybe flexibility is required just while we work with you to try and find a suitable solution. Once you're settled then in your permanent accommodation, we'll give you information and advice on setting up an Irish bank account, mobile phone options, setting up utilities, so gas, electricity, broadband, TV, etc. How to obtain your private health insurance, give you information on driving in Ireland, renting a car, buying a car, applying for a PPS number, etc. And then in terms of local orientation, if you need to find a GP, we can research and send you GP options close to your accommodation. We can give you advice then on public transport options in your locality. And then contained within your welcome pack, we just provide you with some information on local prayer facilities and some ethnic food shops. So as I mentioned earlier, Castel is here to support you throughout your entire journey. So some of the things that we will support you through will be with your medical council annual renewal, getting your IRP card renewed annually. Then if you rotate to a new clinical site for say year 2 or year 3, that will support you through moving out of your current accommodation, assist you with securing new permanent accommodation in your new location. If your children have further education requirements, we're happy to assist you in looking for available places for that. Then, as discussed earlier, if you are traveling to a third country, we can advise you then on how to apply for that visa. And similarly, if you're having family who are going to come to visit you while you're here in Ireland, we can advise on their visa requirements as well. And there's literally any kind of questions or issues you might have that have of a non-academic nature that arise throughout your program, we're there to answer them. And as I said, at the very end then, we'll provide you with information and advice on moving out of your accommodation, closing your bank account, just making your final departure arrangements. So I hope that kind of gives you a little bit of an insight into what Castel's role is here and just how we can try to make your transition to Ireland and your time here that bit smoother. So thank you for your time, and I'm going to hand back to Diana now. Thank you.
Thank you so much, first Clina, and then thank you, Aisling, and also Hannah for this great presentation. So as far as you all could see, there are a lot of information being shared. There are a lot of support that we can provide to you. So it's a journey that you will not go alone. We're going to be with you. So please feel free to keep sending your messages and your questions through the Q&A questions, and then via email if we will not able to reply to all of them. So there is another support that is very important to our trainees that we'd like to share with you this afternoon. So for this, I would like to invite Dale Finnerty. She's working at the training and faculties teams, and she manages this sector that is responsible to provide and look after all the training aspect of our trainees at RCPI. So Dale, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Diana, and thank you so much to everyone for presenting today or for attending today. So my name is Dale Finnerty. I'm the manager for the international training programs, and I just want to bring you through your training and onboarding journey. So firstly, we'll start by talking about our vision. So our vision is to support doctors to achieve their training goals in Ireland and tailored supports to trainees' individual needs to be a support network for international trainees during their time in Ireland and to give individual attention to each trainee. And in this presentation, I will talk a lot about support because that's really the highest standard that we work at in our team. We strive to provide the best possible support, individualized support, and just to ensure that you feel comfortable, not only during your training program here, but in your journey in arriving. So that is what we look to do. Then I'm going to talk about the team. So this is our team here who work with me. So as I've said before, I am the manager who is responsible for the overall management of the international programs. Then we have 3 program coordinators who work, and again, work into that individual support and individual attention piece here. We have Adam Lacumber, who works with the medical specialties. We have Mappy DeFinio, who works with Paediatrics, Obstetrics and Gynaecology, Public Health and Occupational Medicine. And then we have Rosita Dupleva Nedelcheva, who is responsible for Pathology. We also look after the residency programs, and Rosita is the program coordinator who looks after the residency programs that we have in internal medicine and pediatrics. So just a little bit about us and the international training team. We are a team dedicated to supporting you both in your onboarding journey and your training journey. We work with you once you accept your offer and provide tailored supports to your needs. So I know that at the minute you will be working with Diana on submitting your application, getting all of those that documentation in, the supporting documentation, and then you'll move on to your interview process. And as soon as you receive your offer letter, provided you're successful and you accept it, that is when you're referred over to myself and my team, and that's where the onboarding supports begin. What we do is also we advocate for you, encourage you along the way, so you know that you're not alone. This is, again, something that's really important to us. We like to think of ourselves as a built-in support system here in Ireland, and we always urge trainees to rely on us and to grab that support with both hands. As I've said, you will have a program coordinator, and the program coordinator will be linked to your specialty that you are training in, and again, will be with you every step of the way. We'll talk about those steps a little bit further into this presentation. In terms of our onboarding, once you accept your offer and are referred to our team, we ensure all the documentation is in place, that you are on track to meet the requirements to start the program. Again, I'll go into more detail on this later, but really we would be looking for some documentation from you in order to facilitate a smooth transition into Ireland. So we always highlight at the beginning that's a really important step, and that the two-way communication is always really important in building that relationship with your program coordinator and myself, so that you not only feel supported but also feel comfortable with us. And this is where we move into the training. So once your onboarding is complete, you will move into your training. And once you begin in training again, those supports remain in place, and you will continue to work with the same program coordinator, which is something that we find a lot of trainees very much appreciate, that they have that one contact person in the college who they've built a really strong relationship with, and a comfortability with them as well. We also offer an e-portfolio service, which is an online logging of your curriculum. And again, I'll talk about that more later. Additionally, hospital rotations and assessments, and then anything beyond this as well. We work with you right up to certification, and then even continue beyond that. And again, I will talk about that more later in this presentation. The steps to certification really, as I've said, begins at recruitment, then onboarding, your training program, and then the final step is your final sign-off at your final year assessment and your certification. So the onboarding journey in more detail as promised. First, when you are referred over to myself and my team, we will do a case assessment. And those documents that I was speaking about earlier, we do a document request email where we highlight specifically every document that we need. And we will speak with you about this as well, so that you fully understand what is being requested of you. We will also send you letters that we need your signature on. And that's so that once we meet each step of the process, that we have everything ready to go and that there's no delays. Something that we work on very diligently in the background is making sure that we have everything ready to go, so that we meet as few delays as possible along the journey. We will also have a welcome call with you to identify your supports needed. So again, when you're referred over to us, we're going to assess your case and see, do you need your English language? Do you need your sponsorship? Do you need any additional exams? For example, as Cliona was talking about earlier, the LFOM for occupational medicine, and then also the FRC path for pathology specialties. So we will hold all this information, and we will be working with you to identify what you need to ensure a smooth transition for your beginning of your training. The next step, and once we've gotten past that and you've met your English language, we move on to our EPIC and Medical Council. And as Hannah talked about, you'll very much be working frontline with her on working around these supports and making sure that you get your EPIC and Medical Council application completely in on time. And myself and my team will be working away in the background, informing the hospitals that you will be coming, informing the trainers, sending on any required documentation. We will be working on police clearance, and then also documentation requirements for the medical council that are required from the hospital. So we will be working on that in the background, just to make sure that you don't fall down and that we've caught you before you even have a chance to fall. The next step is the atypical working scheme, visa and Garda vetting. So the atypical is your permissions to work and live in Ireland. And for this step to take place, we do need you to finish your medical council, which is again why we have so much support, both frontline and in the background for this step. Once you receive that, we apply for it on your behalf, just to take a little bit of stress off your hands in this process. And we send it on to you, and then you're able to apply for your entry visa. It's very much the winning final step, one of the final steps in your onboarding journey. And again, we'll be requesting police clearance from you, and we'll be coordinating with the hospitals in order to make sure that you have Irish police clearance as well. The next step is a welcome pack, so a suite of documents. You'll be receiving access to your e-portfolio before you arrive, all information on the professional competence here in Ireland. Additionally, any training that is required will be given at the induction, which is the next stage, and you will also receive a copy of your final curriculum once finished. The next stage is your induction, and that is when you arrive in Ireland. We always hope to hold it on the Friday before the Monday that you begin, to give you as much time as possible to get to Ireland, to get settled. And this is a tailored induction that we've put together, and it really circulates around an integration into the Irish healthcare system. So we have a clinical communications course. The associate director gives an address. We give full training on e-portfolio. We hear from current trainees for top tips on their experience of the programme and what they wish somebody told them on their first day. So it's always a really fun day, and we make sure to have plenty of sandwiches and tea and coffee. So it's also an opportunity for you to network and meet the other trainees on the programme. So the next point we will be discussing is the training journey. So the training journey, as you know, will begin in July. And we've really put it together here for a monthly basis. But as you know, other things are going on in the hospitals as you move through this. But this is a high level overview. So July, induction and commencing in post, which we just spoke about. In August, we'd be looking for you to, at this point, book onto your courses and agree your study day leave with your trainers. When we're moving into September, at this point, you've been in the hospital for 6 weeks. So it's important to have your training plan agreed with your trainer by this point. We would always recommend. We also have quarterly reviews and site visits in October. The quarterly reviews are done via ePortfolio, our online system. So they're quite easy for you to gain access to, and then they're sent over to your trainer as well for them to fill in their portion of the section. Additionally, for the site visits, it's something we offer for the international training programs. We understand that you're moving to a new country, coming into a new healthcare system. So at this point, we always make the effort to travel out to the sites, your program coordinator and also the associate director. And we have individual meetings with every single trainee on the program. And we ask them for any feedback, any supports they need, and that one-to-one chat, and again, individual attention, feeding further into us trying to support you as much as possible. And these are always well enjoyed as well. In November, we'd be looking for training intentions. So where do you intend to train for your second year? And then again in your third year around this period. And we would be looking for your preferences for your hospitals that you would like to rotate to. These would then be passed on to the international clinical lead for consideration when placements are being decided. In December, again, we move on to a mid-year assessment. This is a PDF fillable form, which you sit down with your trainer and discuss at the 6-month mark. You would discuss with them your progress, your goals, and all of this feeds into the form that is then also shared with your sponsor. In January, we would be looking to confirm the rotations, so that would be a good 7 months ahead. And then in February, again, another quarterly review on ePortfolio. In March, this is always a really good period to take to prep your ePortfolio for your end of year assessments. It is paramount that these are all completed ahead of when the assessments take place in May and June. So it's always good to get started on these early, especially if you need sign off from at a consultant level on some of your forms. In April, we would be moving into renewing your medical council registration, and you would be working with Hannah on that. And again, myself and the team would be working in the background to ensure that your documentation is submitted to the medical council to satisfy those requirements. Then in May and June, this is when we look to arrange the end of year assessments. So the next point I want to talk about is ePortfolio. It's an online system, as I mentioned, and on it, there is accessibility to view your full curriculum and how you're progressing. There are specific forms tailored to each training area, which appear in your progress report. And it's called the goals section. However, it's a progress report style dashboard. So there will be green bars ticked if you have completed it, and it will show in red if it needs to be completed. So it's a very easy way for you to assess what needs to be completed in your training and what you have achieved already. The next item that the ePortfolio would focus on is assessments. And I know I've already touched on this, so I won't spend too much time on it, but the quarterly and end of year assessment forms are built into ePortfolio for you and your trainer to use. And these are used as the documentation for your sign off and your final sign off. So again, it's very important to get these completed. Additionally, I'd like to point out that we provide continued access of ePortfolio even after you graduate. So you can, with retention of access, you can view all of the training goals that you have met throughout your program for as long as you need. The additional supports and opportunities that myself and my team would offer is subspecialty training. There are opportunities to extend your training program by 1 year for a subspecialty year. Now, this is dependent. Unfortunately, currently the visa does not allow for 4-year programs, so it would need to be a 2-year program and then to extend to a 3rd year. And this is subject to availability and discussions with the international clinical lead. The next support we offer is letters of support for both in Ireland support housing and bank and sponsorship requirements. So this, we find something that trainees actually need a lot of is letters for housing. So reference letters to obtain bank accounts, and reference letters to have their Irish residency permit appointments. And we provide all of them upon request to each trainee at the point that they're needed. Again, the letters of recommendation, we have worked with trainees in the past and will continue to do so in providing detailed letters highlighting the programme details for applications and for further training. So trainees who go on to train in Canada or America or in the UK or back home, we provide letters from the National Specialty Director, the International Clinical Lead, and the Associate Director. And we would also work with any trainers that you have worked with in order to get their feedback and input into those letters. Additionally, we have constant opportunities coming up to work as a college ambassador, whether this be the trainee rep on the training committee, mentoring other trainees, or speaking at the induction. And there's always new opportunities come up, and we would stay linked in with you to keep you updated about this. So if you have any questions, please enter them into the Q&A box and I'd be more than happy to answer them. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dale. So again, you can see that is a huge journey that we will follow with us, and Dale's teams will be responsible to put you on track and make sure that you have you meet all the clinical requirements, all the training requirements to have a really pleasant and succeed on your training fellowship with us. Thank you so much, Dale, for all your support and your team. So now I'd like to invite some doctors who are working directly with the program to share a little bit with you their perspectives, their experience, and their view about the program. First of all, I'd like to invite Dr. Declan Cody. He is the clinical lead for the fellowship in endocrinology, pediatric endocrinology. And I'd like to ask to you, doctor, can you see me? Let me see if I can see you here. Dr. Declan?
Yeah.
Oh, very good.
Hi, Dana.
Yeah, hi, Declan. So good to see you here. So you are working with the fellowship program for a number of years, leading the pediatric fellowship program, not only for endocrinology, but overseeing also and giving support for other pediatric fellowship as well. So can you give to the participants, Declan, a broad overview of how postgraduate medical training is structured in Ireland? How is to do a fellowship here, and how is to practice medicine in this country?
Hi, thanks, Diana, and welcome to everybody who's online. And I understand that you're getting a flavour, the people in the UAE at the moment are getting a flavour of Irish weather. I understand it's flooding all over, but anyway, that's interesting. It's not often that happens, I would think. Yeah, so I'm the clinical lead for paediatrics on the fellowship program, and so the way it's structured in Ireland, it's similar to, I guess, the way it's structured in the UK. Very similar, in fact. And so after you do your internship, your first 2 years are what we describe as basic specialist training. So you work as a senior house officer. That's the terminology that's used, and you just get exposure to all the different specialties. Except in Ireland, it's 6 monthly attachments. In most cases, I know in the UAE and similar countries, it tends to be 4 or 6 weekly continuous changing. But in Ireland, it's very much 6 monthly attachment. And then during this time, the expectation is that you get your membership, your MRCPI or your MRCP UK. And then the next step is essentially to apply for specialist training. And if you're accepted onto the specialist training program, and it is very competitive, it's a 5-year training program. The first couple of years on the specialist training program essentially are, again, very general, very broad training. It would include kind of general pediatrics areas and neonatology. And then the last 3 years of the specialist training program are really trying to focus and to drill down into the area of specialty that you're interested in. And people would then try and get as much training in those specific areas for the final 3 years of their training. So that's kind of how the training program is structured here in Ireland.
Very good, Declan. So your program particularly is 2 years, isn't it?
Yeah, so the fellowship program now obviously is separate. So the fellowship program in pediatric endocrinology is 2 years, and we've had a really successful interaction, I guess, with people who've come over. We've had an international fellow for, I suppose, 6, 7, maybe 8 years. They come and spend 2 years with us, and during that time, it's very clinical based. I guess that's what the program is. It's very clinical based. But to bear in mind and this will be merged in all the other specialties as well. The hospitals you're coming to are tertiary hospitals, so you're getting all the really acute, really complex patients that in the area are the specialty that you're interested in. A lot of clinic OPD based involvement. I suppose if you're doing respiratory, you will get exposure to bronchoscopy. If you're doing GI, you get exposure to scopes. So your 2 years, or in some cases 3 years, is very much mirrored on what the specialist registrars are getting as well. So you'll be essentially in the same bracket as as an Irish specialist registrar.
Yes, this is very interesting too, that you said that they're going to be the same level and they're going to be treated and doing the same thing as a national doctors. So they will not be treated as international or differentiatedly. So this is very nice. So Declan, some candidates always ask to us if is there any possibility to do research during the fellowship. What do you say about that?
Yes, this gets asked at every interview. When I go over to the UAE, over to Dubai or Abu Dhabi every year, and have done for the last several years, it's always brought up. But I guess the program essentially is a clinical training program. It's not a dedicated MD research program, and that's not what it's set up to do. So you can incorporate absolutely elements of research into your 2 years, and there is expectation that you will be doing audits. There is expectation that you will be involved in writing papers. In fact, if you get case series, case presentations, but it's not a focused research program which would involve you stepping out of the clinical training, in fact. So, I mean, research in Ireland, people who do research do it outside of their clinical, so they spend 2 years with laboratory work or whatever it is. But you can certainly discuss it with your supervisors, and research activities will absolutely be incorporated into your 2-year training program. And then, as was mentioned, that 3rd year, for people who do apply for it, there may be more of an element of more subspecialty training, but subspecialty research type of work involved as well.
Yeah, this is very good. Yes, it's very good to make it clear that the focus is clinical training, right? And
yes.
It's possible indeed. Make sure with your, even during your interview, that you have some kind of interest in that. And when you are appointed to start with us, making sure you discuss these since the beginning to avail the opportunities that Declan is sharing with us. Thank you so much, Declan. So I'd like to invite two other, I think maybe 3. I just need to confirm if Dr. Michael Capra is here. But we have 3 new specialties that we are offering this time in pediatric. So one of them is pediatric allergy pulmonology, pediatric rehabilitation medicine, and pediatric oncology. So I'd like to invite these 3 doctors, Dr. Juan Trujillo, Dr. Erwin Gill, and Dr. Michael Capra, to open their cameras. And first, I'd like to ask Dr. Juan Trujillo. Hi, Dr. Juan, can you hear me?
Yes, Diana,
Yes?
thank you for inviting me for this. Hey,
Very
how are
good.
you?
Thank you for
Good.
coming. So first of all, I'd like you to clarify to the audience, what is the main difference between pediatric allergy and immunology and pediatric allergy pulmonology, sorry. There are going to be 2 fields in allergy that we are going to be offering now. So what to say about your specialties? What are the main figures and characteristics of these specialties?
Thank you so much. So my name is Juan Trujillo. I'm actually a pediatric allergist and immunologist here in Cork University Hospital in Cork. That is one of the second city of Ireland, a little bit smaller than Dublin in this case, but a lovely place to be. One of the main reasons that I decided to do this, I am actually a pediatric allergist and a pediatric pulmonologist in Spain because I was trained in Spain for my fellowship. And the fellowship that I did was a training for allergy, pulmonology, and clinical immunology there for 2 years. So one of the reasons that I think that it gets me to say that this is an adequate pathway is that allergy and immunology are really well connected. Okay, really well connected, and probably 30 to 40% of the diseases are more than having a huge connection. So as part of that, I decided to work on the allergy and pulmonology field in Spain. And then when I came here, I am organizing and coordinating the service of allergy and a small part of clinical immunology patients that we have here in Cork, but in combination and support with the pulmonology service here in CUH. So together we work a lot, combining efforts to not double the efforts and to start to be efficient treating patients.
This is great, doctor. So when I was talking with you, when we were discussing about this fellowship, something that was very interesting to me to see it was that this specialty is very multidisciplinary, right? What kind of doctors, of how kind of clinician's interest can fit into your specialties? What do you recommend?
So from the point of view of what I've experienced in other places in the world and here, we try to make this multidisciplinary team effort, okay? And that means that if we try to start looking at different rotations so that the fellow will actually learn different ways to treat a same disease. So they will have rotations, or we will have rotations or meetings with our colleagues in pulmonology to treat a patient that is allergy related. Okay, we have also the same situation with dermatologists. They have rotations in dermatology to know different techniques that we don't do so much here in allergy, including patch allergy techniques, and the case of something that is really common for us to see, that is atopic dermatitis. We want to be involved with the dermatologists so that all of us do the same guidelines, speak the same language, and don't give the parents and don't give treatments that are different from one side of the other. That is when we are talking about something that is connected. But there are other things that we don't share so much, no? For instance, in the pulmonary services, they have a great number of patients with diseases that are chronic, like cystic fibrosis, like pulmonary dyskinesia, or sleep disorders. So the fellows or the people that do the rotation with us, they will have their separate rotations on other diseases that are pulmonology related, not allergic. And that is also the case with dermatology. They will see differential things that we don't consider in the allergy part, and maybe we're just focused on the allergy all the time, and that is also important to start thinking about differential diagnosis of other diseases. That's why we try to mix all together and talk all the time.
So sounds like very interesting and very exciting. So by the end of this 2-year program, in which areas the doctors that take this fellowship are going to be able to work?
Okay, so I will take as example myself. No, I trained in pediatrics in Spain, and then I did a fellowship of 3 years in allergy and pulmonology. And when I finished, I didn't have a job immediately. So the first job that I acquired actually was as a pediatric pulmonologist, and I worked as a pediatric pulmonologist for 2 years in a big hospital. But also my aim or my interest was also in allergy. So then I will start to move up to other hospitals that have allergy posts. So I have worked in pulmonology and in allergy in different areas. However, then I pitched the idea in one of the hospitals that I stayed there for 4 years. Why not to create a pediatric allergy and pulmonology service and start decreasing the amount of patients seen by 2 times by the same people? And they were happy about it. So you can build up your own program and give the extra knowledge that you have from one side to the other. That will actually extend your possibilities to get a decent job, and then you will create your own pathway to make it yours.
So it sounds very interesting again. So you're going to allow our doctors from the region, for example, adapt to their needs, to their hospital needs, to their region needs, and also to collect all the knowledge that they have by their own themselves, but also the needs of the region. So it's very interesting.
Diana, in this case, sometimes we have to understand that not every hospital is a big hospital. And sometimes when we are not in huge hospitals, we don't have these extreme, severe, and complex or different diseases. And those hospitals, what they need is a person that could actually start looking at specific problems that one person can take both of those diseases, so to make a bigger or a more integrated service. So if you have the possibility to be that person that will build one of these areas more or together, probably you will have a better chance to get a job. At least that happened to me.
This is a very good example. Thank you so much, Dr. Juan. Let's hear also Dr. Erwin Gill. He is the clinical lead for pediatric rehabilitation medicine. So, doctors, rehabilitation medicine in the field of pediatrics. What do you want to say about that? How this specialty is looking like? What is the shape of your program, and what kind of topic is the doctors you're gonna see when they train with you?
Sure. Only one small correction to start off with is that I'm sorry to say I'm not the clinical lead for peds rehab medicine. I'm a lowly consultant working in peds rehab medicine, but nonetheless happy to answer the questions. I suppose peds rehabilitation medicine rehabilitation is a word that, depending on where you are in the world, the hospital that you're working in might define that quite differently, and I suppose it is good to be clear about what the word means. Generally, with peds rehabilitation, what we're talking about is looking after children who have disability that's been acquired since they're born. So most commonly, I suppose, we're talking about children who've had acquired brain injuries, either because of car accidents or falls, or because of infection, or brain tumor surgery, or children who've had spinal cord injuries. It typically is different from pediatric developmental medicine, so not the same, I suppose, as specialties where we'd be looking after, children with intellectual disability or autism or things like that. It's more about acquired disability, so children who were healthy and developing typically, and then had either an illness or an injury that then caused them to have a disability as a result of that. And in my field of practice, and for this specialty, what that typically means is mostly that's acquired brain injury, and to a certain extent some spinal cord injury as well. I think I'm probably one of many here where the specialty is very, very strongly interdisciplinary. So in terms of what it looks like in practice, rehabilitation is not a solely medical discipline. It's very much provided by a team, and that will include physiotherapy, occupational therapy, speech and language therapy, dietetics, music therapy, play therapy, social work, expert nursing colleagues, and then involvement from other medical specialties, typically neurosurgery and neurology as well. So I suppose people who might have an interest in this would be, I suppose, people who typically like working as part of teams where there's a variety of different perspectives, and we have a pretty flat hierarchy. Like we are not the boss of the physios or the OTs. We're very much their colleagues, although there is a sense of a leadership role for sure. And I suppose the crucial thing to emphasize about rehabilitation as being different from, I suppose, kind of cure-focused medicine is that what we really focus on is what we describe as functioning, which is kind of essentially the ability of children to do things they care about in the world. So a child might come in with a brain tumor, and the neurosurgeon will remove their tumor, and our job is to get them back playing football, or being able to have a shower by themselves, or to communicate more clearly, depending on the nature of their difficulty. So it's a fascinating specialty that's based around the fact that all children are different and all of their neurological injuries are different. The thing we say about brain injury is if you've met one child with a brain injury, you've met one child with a brain injury, and you can't apply necessarily the same rules to each child. They're as different from each other as any two other children are. And I suppose in practice, what that means in terms of the skills of rehabilitation medicine and what we'd be looking to teach to a fellow who was here, we look to teach people to assess children holistically as part of a team in relation to brain and spinal cord injury. We're very involved in developing expertise in I suppose developing assessing disorders of consciousness. So children as they wake up from coma, we spend a lot of time looking at movement. So disorders of movement like dystonia, spasticity, hypertonia, those kinds of things. We spend a lot of time assessing and managing those. And then on top of that, issues related to communication, feeding, thinking, learning, and then getting back to the normalities of life. And I suppose the crucial thing to say about this fellowship, which might be different to some of the other ones that are here, is that it's based across 2 sites, which gives the fellow an opportunity to see rehabilitation across the spectrum. So I'm speaking to you from the National Rehabilitation Hospital now, which is Ireland's only, I suppose, national subacute inpatient rehab facility. But that's where half of the fellowship is based. But the other half is based in Children's Health Ireland at Temple Street, which is an acute tertiary paediatric hospital, and it is the home of the country's neurosurgical service. And because the neurosurgical service is there, it's also where the acute rehab service is. So that's where you meet children who have just had their brain injuries. And then typically what happens is some further point down the line, they come out to the National Rehab Hospital, where we work on other things with them, I suppose, things that are not related to just recovering and getting out of hospital, but more about the getting back to normal, I suppose, of life. So you get to follow kids across a spectrum of time. So that's kind of broadly what it is. Is there anything there that I should speak about more, Diana, or any other questions you might have?
No, I think you covered very well. I would ask about where the places of training, and you mentioned that this is going to be a rotation in between two main hospitals, right? The National Rehabilitation University Hospital and the CHI. So, and this is a 2-year program, right, Doctor?
Yeah, we're flexible on that as well, but yes, I suppose realistically speaking, to deliver what people would need to get a 2-year program is probably the way to do it. If we had an applicant who could who felt they had to do it for a year, we could talk about that, what that would look like. But yes, we envisage it as a 2-year program. And although I've said that half of it is in Children's Health Ireland at Temple Street, it is of course worth mentioning that we hope that next year our new Children's Hospital will be open, which would be, while Temple Street is lovely, it's quite an old facility, and we're quite excited to have the new place open, which would mean I think the NRH is a very new build. It's a very modern facility. It's only open a couple of years. Temple Street is really where we're all waiting to move on. But over the course of a 2-year fellowship, if it was that long, I would anticipate we would be in the new hospital by then, which would be a very exciting time for everybody. It's a lovely looking facility when it does open.
Very good. Yes, Doctor. Just another question is that is there any specific requirement for doctors to join this program apart from the general requirements that we have that Clina shared with them? So what kind of doctors do you think would be a good fit for this program?
Yeah. So I suppose we're probably talking about people who have an interest in pediatrics. So like in terms of how I got to where I am, like I trained in pediatrics through the Royal College of Physicians, and then went abroad, first to the UK and then to Australia to do fellowships in rehabilitation medicine. So I'm a pediatrician by training initially, and I then moved into a subspecialty thereafter. So I think a grounding in pediatrics is a really important thing. I suppose another route into this might be if people had an interest in adult rehabilitation medicine and we're looking to move from adult rehab medicine into pediatrics. That's another way to go. But I think that the more common way to go would be, I suppose, a pediatrician in training who's looking to pursue a career in rehabilitation. The skills that we work in, I suppose my department in Temple Street is what we call the neurodisability department, and that includes people who work across child development and various other avenues of disability as well. So I suppose if there was somebody who had an interest in, physical disability, or I suppose a different kind of child disability, and this was an avenue for that would be a way to go as well. And I suppose it's very important to say that I suppose this is a discipline that depends to a great extent, I suppose, really on communication skills. And of course, we don't understand that there's a part of the road is to develop those skills over the course. But I suppose having an interest in and putting a value on communication. If you're not somebody who doesn't like family meetings or who doesn't like interdisciplinary meetings for discussing case loads, this is perhaps not the specialty for you. But certainly, if you're somebody who enjoys explaining nuanced concepts and ensuring that I suppose that families understand where we're at, that this might be something that might suit you well.
Very good, very good. I hope we have some doctors interested to join you in this journey. Sounds like a very interesting specialty as well, Doctor. Thank you so much for your participation. So now I'd like to hear a little bit, Dr. Michael Capra. Dr. Michael Capra is the clinical lead, the trainer for pediatric oncology. So Dr. Michael, can you take us through a little bit your specialties and tell us what it's about and what is the expectation for this specialty?
Hi, Diana, and thank you very much. A warm welcome to all of you potential applicants, and thank you for your interest in our program. Diana, because I am having IT issues, I hope you can put my slides up or share my slides, and I'll do the voiceover if that's all right.
Yes, your slides are now on screen, Doctor. You can continue and I can support you sharing with the participants.
So you have my title slide, Pediatric Oncology, National Children's Service, up on the screen now.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Okay, let's go to the next slide then, Diana. And this is just as an introduction, the Paediatric Oncology Service for Ireland has a unique characteristic in that we are centralized into one national single centre here in Dublin. And as you can see on the map of Ireland, we have a hub and spoke model of care with one centralized unit here in Dublin and the multiple spokes to our other shared care hospitals or our 16 centres throughout Ireland that help us deliver supportive care to our oncology patients for the country. Next slide, Diana. We see about nearly 200 newly diagnosed patients per year under the age of 16 with cancer in Ireland, and we follow these patients up until they become 18 years of age, and then we either graduate them to adult follow-up or back to their community general practitioner for follow-up. We are a robust unit in that we have 11 consultants who deliver the cancer service, and we are a comprehensive service in that we deliver care to our hemato-oncology patients. Those are predominantly our patients with acute leukemia. We also have a solid tumor section, a neuro-oncology section looking after our patients with brain and spinal cord tumors. We also have a hematopoietic stem cell therapy department where we give children high-dose chemotherapy and stem cell rescue, also allogeneic bone marrow transplant, and over the last year, we have started a CAR T-cell program. And in addition, very recently, we've started up a adolescent young adult oncology program. This is a new venture for us in an attempt to look after the 12 to 18, possibly 19-year-old patients under a pediatric banner, but increasing the age group to make sure that the AYA cohort of patients are not lost in between pediatric and adult oncology. As you can no doubt anticipate, we can only function as a multidisciplinary team, much like our previous speaker, Dr. Irwin Gill, mentioned. We have a whole team around us. An oncologist cannot work in unilateral isolation. So we have a team of very gifted surgeons, general surgeons, thoracic surgeons, together with our neurosurgeons, ENT, orthopedic, and urology surgeons who give us a fantastic service. We also have a very comprehensive specialist pediatric disciplines around us. No oncology unit can really function without a on-site pediatric intensive care unit, and we have an excellent unit who looks after our patients who require PICU, cardiology, endocrinology, nephrology, and importantly, infectious disease personnel help us immensely. We have a full gamut of nursing team, right from advanced nurse practitioners down to our staff nurses at the bedside, as well as, you can imagine, a whole team of allied healthcare professionals who are invaluable in providing support to our patients. Next slide, and Diana, I hope we are on the next slide now, which is the on-site, off-site slide. If you can just make sure we're on that slide, please.
Yes, you are now on this slide.
Thank you. We offer a comprehensive service here in the one hospital, apart from the three entities of oncology care. Our radiotherapy is given off-site in our sister hospital, which is about 15-20 minutes away from us, called St. Luke's Hospital. And it is in this hospital we can deliver conventional or photon radiotherapy. However, as you may know, we require some patients to receive proton radiotherapy, and we have to send these patients overseas to either the United Kingdom or to Germany for such, which is all funded by the Irish Health Service. In addition, our neurosurgical service is not on site, but in Temple Street Hospital, which is our other CHI sister hospital just on the north side of Dublin, which is about a 30-minute travel distance between the two hospitals. And then finally, for our patients with retinoblastoma, our ophthalmology team in our sister hospital in Temple Street manages this cohort of patients, and sometimes we require patients to go to Birmingham Children's Hospital in the UK for intra-arterial chemotherapy and for any specialized localized therapy which we can't deliver here. So apart from those three entities, we deliver a comprehensive service here on site. Next slide, please, Diana. As you can imagine, thank you. As you can imagine, the paradigm of pediatric oncology, due to its rarity, is that we have to collaborate internationally, and we've managed to increase the survival of pediatric oncology patients over the last few decades significantly by such international collaborative research. And our unit plays a role in that we enroll patients into international clinical trials through our clinical trials unit. We're part of the CEOP consortium, CEOP Europe, which is the International Society of Pediatric Oncology within the European continent. We also collaborate with our North American colleagues called the Children's Oncology Group. And then we also run some independent or pharmaceutical industry funded trials. This clinical trials unit is well staffed by clinical research assistants who help us with data entry, enrollment, and good clinical practice. We are funded for this clinical trials unit up to a 2.3 million euro grant, which is given to us over a 5-year period to help facilitate such research. Next slide. From us 11 consultants, we have a significant international footprint. In the majority of us are trained in overseas fellowship centers and have come back to Ireland. And amongst our team of consultants, we are represented on the CIRP board membership. We have the current vice chair of CIOPEN, which is the European International Society of Paediatric Neuroblastoma. I'm also on the executive committee for the FOSTER organization, which is fighting osteosarcoma through research in Europe. I'm also part of the International Society of Pediatric Oncology international training course. I'm a teacher on that. We are members within the COG consortium, and amongst us all, we are national coordinators in a whole handful of trials. The big leukemia trial called Altogether, the international and European Ewing sarcoma trial, rhabdomyosarcoma trial, FARMS, Umbrella, which is also the renal or nephroblastoma or Wilms tumor trial, the hepatoblastoma trial, which is just recently completed, tendinoma trial, as well as low-grade glioma trial in the LOGIC consortium. So really, in summary, you can see we're a very comprehensive, multidisciplinary, research-orientated unit with a significant international footprint. And I'm hoping, next slide, Diana, that we can send you a very warm Mia Fulcher, which is the Irish for 100,000 welcomes. And I'm hopeful that some of you will be really interested in arguably the most challenging and rewarding aspect of pediatric oncology. Thank you, Diana.
Thank you, Dr. Michael, for sharing the information so relevant about this program. It's amazing to see how much you are connected internationally, how much cooperation do you have, how much support you have to improve with research and other facilities. So I really hope that we can have candidates willing to join your program very soon. Thank you so much for your collaboration and for your participation. So I'd like to finally invite now Dr. Aisha. Dr. Aisha, are you here with me? Dr. Aisha recently graduated from our dermatology fellowship program. She just finished in 2023, and now she is back in her home country, which is Bahrain. So, doctor, can you share a little bit with our audience how was to train in Ireland, and what things that you think it was more important for you during your training journey?
Yes. Okay, so thank you so much for having me today. It was a great pleasure to have me as a representative of the RCPI International Graduate. Just let me tell you in brief that I think the decision that I took by having the fellowship in Ireland is the best decision that I took in my life. Maybe after the dermatology specialty, because I think dermatology specialty, I think everyone wants to be a dermatologist. It's a very fancy specialty for doctors. But having the fellowship in Ireland, and specifically having the first year in Cork and the second year in Dublin, was just a great experience. In my first year, maybe I had a bit of difficulties in just be familiar with the Irish system and the healthcare system. It's totally different than Bahrain in many ways. But to have a new experience that just give you a push for a change in your life, to be more confident, to just come back with the new ideas for your hospital or for your country. So the amount of exposure and clinically wise in Ireland specifically, I don't think you will get it in any other country. Because I have two sisters, they are both doctors. One of them is doing her fellowship currently in UK and London, and the other one, she's in Birmingham. And we are just sharing our experience, and I think I had the best experience. So I have been dealing with Hannah and Dale very closely, and I would tell you that you won't have any difficulty. They will deal with everything. Like, you will have a lot of question marks in your head, like, how can I manage my apartment, my electricity, my gas? They will do everything for you. They are really, really of a help. So I just take the moment to thank Dale and Hannah for all the help that they have done to me. And they will just keep your fellowship journey very easy and smooth. Another thing, if you are planning to have your fellowship in Ireland, just keep everything ready. Your English requirement, I think the score should be above 7 in IELTS and a score of B in the OET. So just keep everything ready. Keep your sponsorship letter ready. I've been just going around all the questions. There is a lot of question about sponsorship. So for me in my country, the sponsorship should be a governmental body sponsorship. So I work in Ministry of Health. It's a governmental body of the country of the Kingdom of Bahrain. So you just have the letter of sponsorship that you should apply for the RCPI. And I think in my year, it was after being accepted in the interview. You might ask, or you have been wondering about the interview of being accepted in the program. It's a very basic interview. They will ask you about your personality, and they might ask about basic knowledge in your specialty. So I think that's it for me. It's been very hectic since coming back to my country, because for us in Bahrain, you have to be, let's say, under probation. Since coming, you shouldn't do any mistake, and you have to be perfect in your work. So I've been here now for 6 months, and I've been appointed as a dermatology consultant in 6 months. So it's been like an achievement for me. Because
Yes,
usually a consultant in Bahrain, they take from 8 months to 1 year probation. But I think I haven't done any mistake. That's why it was like quickly done for me. So yay.
congratulations.
All of you will have the same experience.
Wonderful, wonderful to know your achievements, the outcomes of your experience, to see that you are now back in your country and for sure contributing and learning as well, because after being 2 years a part of your country, of your medical practice in your country, there are still new things going on. And I'm sure you are bringing so many new ideas, new commitments, and new force.
And actually, I want to add a thing. Take the whole experience, like don't waste your time there, because what I have done the fellowship, and I went to the RCSI, the Royal College of Surgeons, and I did my postgrad in healthcare leadership and management, and as well I have done 7 researches with my supervisors. So just make the best of it, because you won't have this time. For example, for me, I'm a mom and I have 2 kids. 5 and 6 years old. But I took just a minute. I took the decision not to take them with me in Ireland. And I think it was a good decision for me, because I had the whole time just to focus on research, on postgrad studies, and on the fellowship as well.
This is great, Doctor. Is there anything that you miss more about your time in Ireland? Anything that you feel homesick when you come back to Bahrain? The weather, for example?
The weather. I was so happy with the thunderstorm yesterday. I was like, it's Dublin and Cork again. Déjà vu.
Yeah, déjà vu, yes. So very good, Doctor. Thank you so much. And is there any other final words that would you like to say or encourage the ones who are preparing and thinking about to join RCPI in the same journey that you did? Any final words or recommendation?
Just take it easy. Irish people, they are so lovely, so friendly. Don't stress out. Everything will come just smoothly, and you'll see, you will just get used with the Irish system and the healthcare system by itself. So for the first 3 months, I would say it will be stressful for sure. It's a new thing for you, but when times goes on, and you will feel like it's been like a easy 2 years of life, but it is a good experience. And I would recommend anyone, if you would have the chance, go to Ireland. Don't change your mind.
Thank you so much, Dr. Aisha. I wish you all the best on your journey back to your country. And you know that this house is your house. The doors are open to you anytime. And I hope to see you in a few weeks in Bahrain. We are going to Bahrain and I hope to see you there. Okay? So, very good. I'd like to invite all my panelists to open the camera, just all the participants can see you once again, because I think it's now almost the time to leave. It has been an amazing conversation with you guys. We have a huge number of questions in our Q&A question panel. So I just want to ask Clina to say the final words about the recruitment. I think she had a chance also to see some of the questions if she wants to highlight some of them, just to clarify some other things that maybe it's important to say before you go.
Thanks, Diana. Well, thank you, everybody. Thanks to all our panelists, and thanks to everybody who joined us today. I hope you got a flavour of the programme and living in Ireland and all the supports and all the great programmes that we have to offer. I won't keep you much longer, just to let you know that, again, we are here to answer any questions. So please reach out to us. You'll find all our contacts on the website. Also, Diana will email all of you as well. We'll email you a recording of the webinar today. So really do please feel free to reach out to us. There's no question that we think is silly, so ask us anything. We understand you know, you want to ask about the programs or about life in Ireland, it's a big decision. And we want to really support you with any questions you may have. So I'll just finish up with, again, thank you. And hopefully I will see you soon, maybe in your home country or maybe in Ireland. Okay, take care. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, Clina. So just to say that there were a lot of questions about exams. So not all specialties requires exams. Okay, so have a look in our website or contact us to see what specialties are requiring exams. There are only a few that required exam. A lot of questions about sponsorship. So you need to be sponsored in order to be a participant of this program. Keep in contact with us to see what are the requirements and what are the sponsorship criteria for that. A lot of questions about specialties. So we have 39 specialties being offered at this time, a huge number of specialties in internal medicine, pediatrics, and all the 6 faculties that we have. If you have a particular interest in subspecialty, there are a follow-up that we need to do with you as well. So apply, highlight your interest about the specialty you are looking for, and then this will be discussed with the clinical leads. Castel Education, a lot of questions about English. OAT, IELTS, what's the minimal level? So they already said to you and shared with you the levels. So it's very important to keep in mind that this exam has an expiry date. So they should be valid at least 2 years before you start the training. So, but some of these documents are not required for you to be interviewed, for example. So they are mandatory for you to start the training. But if you don't have it by the time of the interview, when you have the all criteria, maybe you can be invited for the interview. So there are a lot of little informations and specific information that unfortunately we won't be able to share with you now, but again, keep in contact with us. So I don't know if Dr. Trujillo, Dr. Michael, Deo, any one of you has any final words to say before we go?
I can say something.
Yes.
So thank you so much for the invitation, and I'm really looking forward to get people to be interested in this. Our idea here is that that we are going to engage with people so that they can actually know how we're dealing with allergies and pulmonology diseases in our country. I am more than happy to say that this is a great place to be an immigrant, because I've been here for 4 years and a half and I have never felt so in love of a place like this. So please try to join us, and this is something that whatever any questions that you have, I will be more than happy to answer you by Diana, or if she has any questions further, we will get in touch.
Thank you so much, Dr. Juan. Yeah.
Diana, just last thing.
Please, Dr. Aisha.
I want to show you how am I dedicated to RCPI. I think you gave it to me, yeah?
Yeah, it's nice,
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's always on
Very
my net.
good. Yes, you are part of the community.
I have my Bahraini ID card, but this one is the RCPI.
RCPI in the heart. Thank you so much, Dr. Aisha. Hannah, Ashley, are you okay? Any words? Very good. So Deo, again, thank you so much. Thank you so much for all the doctors that took time to be here with us. Hannah, Ashley, Deo, Clina, everyone, Dr. Aisha. It was amazing to have this conversation with you. Just to remember that we are just in the starting of the journey. Applications are now open until the 30th of June. So don't waste your time, apply, keep in contact with us, and we hope to see all of you very soon here in Ireland. Okay? Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Have a lovely evening, and thank you again for your time. Bye-bye.